Welcome to the Zodiac Killer Suspect debate. We will be deciding which person we believe is the Zodiac Killer who tormented Northern California from 1968 through 1974. Let's start with Lawrence Kane.
I believe Lawrence Kane is the Zodiac Killer because he was identified from a six-picture lineup by Kathleen Jones, and there were similarities between Kane's handwriting and the Zodiac's. Kane's name was also reportedly embedded in one of the Zodiac ciphers.
Actually, I disagree with Maya because Kane had brain damage due to a car crash, which would have impaired his ability to understand codes such as the ones used by the Zodiac Killer. Therefore, it could have not been Kane. Instead, I think it was Ross Sullivan because he worked at a library near the location where Cherry Joe Bates was murdered, and he reportedly made his co-workers uncomfortable and disappeared for several days after the murder. He also wore boots similar to those worn by the Zodiac.
I'm sorry, Aaron, but I'm gonna have to disagree with you. The Zodiac Killer could not have been Ross Sullivan because that is only circumstantial evidence. There is no physical evidence that directly connects him to the murder of Cherry Joe Bates. I think it is much more likely that Richard Marshall was the Zodiac Killer because his neighbors thought he was weird and watched the Red Phantom, often which is mentioned in the Zodiac letters. He also owned a typewriter and teletype similar to those the Zodiac used. They both liked felt tip pens and odd-sized paper.
I'm sorry, but that evidence does not help prove your point. It is all still circumstantial. Moreover, he was eventually ruled out by investigators because of lack of evidence. I think it is Jack Terrence because he matches the composite sketch almost exactly, had a lot of incriminating evidence including a hooded costume similar to the one the Zodiac wore, and his handwriting was matched to the Zodiac's by a questioned document examiner.
Hold up. All the evidence you just mentioned was dismissed. The hooded costume did not match the one described by the victims, and the document examiner was not credible. The Zodiac Killer is obviously Earl Van Best Jr. because he matched the composite sketch and lived in California at the time of the murders. His initials were also found in the Zodiac ciphers, and his handwriting was also said to match.
I'm sorry, but that argument is ridiculous. The method he used to crack the cipher was not reliable, so it's inaccurate to say that it contained his initials. Also, he only matched the sketch because of his haircut, a haircut that was extremely common among men in the late 60s. Another suspect who could be the Zodiac Killer is Donald Lee Bujock, because his fellow inmates said that he talked about killing people and making them his slaves in the afterlife. And markings on the Zodiac's envelope said that the Zodiac is a veteran with 4F, linking it to Bujock because he's a veteran.
I think that argument is just ridiculous. Bujock's fingerprints did not match the Zodiac's, and he was in jail during some of the murders. Now, we only have two suspects left, Arthur Lee Allen and Richard Gawinski. And many believe that the Zodiac is Gawinski because his coworkers sent letters accusing him of being the Zodiac Killer. A police dispatcher recognized his voice. However, I do not believe he's the Zodiac because the man who accused Gawinski was a known conspiracy theorist, so his claims are not reliable.
I agree. I think we can all come to the conclusion that the only viable suspect is Arthur Lee Allen. He owned the same caliber gun as the Zodiac, and police found bloody knives in his car. He also owned the same ammunition as the Zodiac and made claims about wanting to kill people by using a gun with a flashlight attached to it, the same as the Zodiac. Not to mention he owned a foot-long knife, and the same length weapon was used to attack Hartnell.
I completely agree. He was even picked out of a police lineup by Maggio, and he owned the same typewriter as the Zodiac.
He was also known to have the same unusual handwriting as the Zodiac, and he was ambidextrous, so he could have disguised his handwriting. That would explain why questioned document examiner Sherwood Morrill said that Allen did not write any of the Zodiac's letters.
I feel it's also important to mention that he was in Riverside at the time of Cherry Joe Bates' murder and fascinated about hunting humans because they are more intelligent than animals, which is something the Zodiac said in his letters.
I think we have all come to a mutual decision that Arthur Lee Allen was the Zodiac Killer. There is much more evidence stacked against him compared to other suspects, and Allen displayed similar thrill killer desires to the Zodiac. Allen had the motivation, weapons, and location that shows he is responsible for the murders that occurred in Northern California.